All right, I'm really excited to welcome a good friend and a warrior for free speech to the show, my friend Dave Rubin. Hey, Dave, thanks so much for joining us. Great job, by the way, on Tucker last night.
Dan, it's good to be with you. Man, what a day yesterday. Did we make a dent? I think we actually might have made a dent in the big tech Death Star.
Well, we're figuring it out, Dave. I mean, guys like you and me have figured that the economies of scale and scope, they work. I mean, the left figured that out a long time ago when they combined forces and combined assets to fight against free speech because they're communist totalitarian losers that sadly they've had a lot of wins. And I saw a story like this yesterday. I'd love to get your comment on before we get to locals and Rumble partnering up. George Soros, Reid Hoffman, names you're familiar with, left wingers, big money. Reid Hoffman, the head of LinkedIn, combining with Nandini Jammy, the cat lady, in this new operation to censor people on the internet. And they're calling it, unironically, Dave, this is not a joke, Good Information Inc. Your thoughts?
You got to love it, man. I mean, we are in 1984. George Orwell would be proud of the work that he did, roughly 70 years ago, something like that. Of course, it's called good. It's called good. I mean, these people are ridiculous. First off, on the Soros front, George Soros is evil. He is a lefty collectivist Marxist, evil billionaire who funds all sorts of NGOs and nonprofits across the world that destroy Western societies. That is what his MO is. And by the way, before Media Matters, which I'm sure is watching this, says that Dave Rubin, uses some anti-Semitic trope, it has nothing to do with his religion. It's his actions. Okay, so that's number one. As for Reid Hoffman, this is the co-CEO of Netflix, who over the summer pumped millions and millions of dollars into ads on YouTube to take out our friend Larry Elder, who was running a really great campaign. And then suddenly, when they realized that the recall was legit and Larry actually had a chance, next thing you know, you've got millions from Reid Hoffman basically calling Larry Elder a white supremacist and saying he wants to kill your kids because of vaccines. Then you've got Obama and Biden here and everything else. So this is what we're up against. So, the funny part to me is that maybe 3 years ago when I would see stories like this, I'd be like, the machine just has so much power. It has so much energy. It's like there's nothing we can do. But because of the events of yesterday and some of the other things that Dan, you and I and some of our friends are working on, it's like I have hope right now. I really, really do.
Yeah, I have hope too, Dave. This Rumble's local partnership. Rumble's been a free speech alternative to YouTube and is focused strongly on building the railroad of the internet, the pipes, and that's working out well too. Rumble's not just a video company, but I had my eyes on locals for a long time. You and I have been discussing this for a while because I thought your idea was genius. You explained a little bit, I heard in many of your media appearances, how the whole experience with some people in the space, Carl and others, how they were attacked. And you were like, listen, we can't have this. We got to have a direct connection between creators, content creators, you, me, by the way, not just politics. You want to get music. You have some poems you want to read on locals. Knock yourself out. It's not a political site. It's just a free speech site. You said we have to connect the creator with the supporters and these patriots directly, and you develop locals. Tell the audience how it works, where they can find it, and what spurred you to do it.
Well, I love the way you introed that because first off, yeah, it's not just for politics people. Yeah, you and I are creatures of politics, but This is for everybody. And by the way, cancel culture is not just coming for politicians and people that talk about politics, right? Dave Chappelle knows a little something about that right now. Like, they will come for you if you have any unique thought whatsoever. So, for 5-6 years on my show, I was talking about the leftist assault on free speech. At first, I was talking about it as a lefty, right? And obviously that's not my position anymore. But I kept saying, between big tech, between the cultural norms, no one's going to be allowed to say anything soon enough. And flash forward to 2021. I mean, here we are. Dan, you may remember back in July, right before I went off the grid for August, the last thing that happened to me was I was banned on Twitter for saying that federal vaccine mandates were coming. They came, they're here, and they're pushing even more. But the beautiful thing was because I had created Locals, a place where we owned the tech, I could directly communicate with my community through iOS app, Android app. I could live stream. So even though Twitter took me out, I was still live streaming to thousands of people. I could get push notifications out to them. That then allowed my people to contact guys like you on Twitter and put the public pressure on until Twitter actually took back their suspension and said it was an error. Now, of course, it wasn't an error. It was just that I had enough public pressure. I had the tech to force the issue. And that's what I want for everybody. I want you to own your stuff. I want you to own your video and audio. I don't want to own your video and audio. We're building digital homes. That's why this thing with Rumble is so cool, because we're building the home. So your home for your content, your community. You own the data, your user data. If you leave us, by the way, you can have the data. We don't need to own it. It's all yours. We're not selling it. But then what you said about the pipes of the internet, that's what we needed. So we built the homes, but you know, homes can't exist without infrastructure underneath. You need water, you need electricity, you need all that stuff. That's what Rumble is doing. So we're not going to be kicked off the way Parler was blown apart. And by the way, that was a total mafia tactic by big tech, because you know it wasn't that they were upset that coordination on January 6th had happened on Parler, because we know that most of it happened on Facebook. It was a mafia tactic because there was a new guy in town and he was making some money and they took him out. So we really right now, we don't have all the pieces, right? Like I don't want to overpromise, but we have a lot of the pieces and we're working on the other pieces. That's why this is really as great a partnership as you possibly can find.
Yeah, we're building in just an incredible redundancy to make this thing cancel-proof in the future. And Dave, I think one of the most important points you just brought up there, you know, when Twitter tried to cancel you, you had this backup system. Yep. You know, we're not competing with Twitter. We don't need to. We're saying very simply, Twitter's a middleman, folks. They're allowing you to get your information out to their platform. Locals is an app and is a website, but we're not the middleman. It's your data. We don't want it. We're not interested in, I don't mean not interested in, we want you there. We don't want your data. It's yours. You are sovereign over your data. It is your, Locals is about you. It's not about us. We just gave you a platform for you to connect directly, your data. And like you said, and I want to reiterate, it's not just about you and I. Our entire lives are politics. Yeah, I don't care if you're a poet, a comedian, you have content. Do not let Twitter and Facebook Live take it for you for free. I'm very sorry. Why are you giving it up then for free? Connect directly to an audience. You can put some free content out there. I have some that's behind a subscription on locals.com, which insulates me from any ad pressure. And you, Dave, follow Rubin Report. We got Dinesh D'Souza, Coffee with Scott Adams. I'm sorry, Dave, I know I'm going on, but I'm very excited. I've had my eyes on this for a while because you really tapped into something here, that the essence of this movement going forward is not just the pipes, but it's the home that you own. It's your data. You own everything in it.
Well, that's why I like calling it a digital home, because it's like the guy that built my house, he built the house, I paid him for the house, and then he left. He's not now responsible for what I do in the house. So it's a very clean metaphor for how this thing operates. I'll tell you something awesome, which is that when I was raising funds, and you know how tough it is to raise funds for tech, sure, especially when you know you're thought of as, you know, sort of scary and conservative and that sort of thing. And we had a lot of doors closed in our faces. But I was at one dinner less than a year ago. This is even before we started talking to Rumble. It was it was December in Miami, last December. And I'm sitting at a table, a bunch of investors there, like well-known, powerful investors. And I put on my Locals, I just a post. I said, hey, I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of investors right now. Can you guys give me your brutally honest assessment of what Locals has been like for you guys? I did not even look at the responses, and then I just handed my phone around the table to the investors, and we got investors at that meal. So that tells you we have built something. Imagine doing that with Twitter. Imagine handing your phone for a bunch of investors to look at your Twitter responses, your Facebook responses. But when you have just a few dollar paywall, you clean up 99% of the mess. And by the way, I mean, one of the ways we're really dealing well with free speech is that you can come into my community, you can say whatever you want. If you break the laws of the United States, you got a bigger problem than me. But let's say you come into my community, you pay the couple bucks a month to get in there, and then all day long you're just, you know, talking crap about me. Well, either I profit from you, or I can boot you out of my community, but you're not booted out of Locals as a platform, meaning I'm just saying, hey, you can't come into my house and talk crap about me, right, but you could still go into Dan's if he wants you there, et cetera, et cetera. So we're treating the speech issues in a way that is much more relevant. It's much more in kind to how we all deal with it on a day-to-day basis than the way big tech just takes you out because you happen to say that men and women have biological differences.
Yeah, and I love that analogy, Dave. And by the way, if you want to pay to join my community to insult me, go right ahead. I will take you. Come right on in, folks, because I will use your money to donate to conservative candidates. So please go right at. Reminds me of Dana Lash's mailbag, where she reads mean tweets on the air to raise money in a sponsored segment, which is a great job by Dana. Dave, you've been generous with your time. Congrats with this spectacular success of Locals. It's been amazing, folks. I'm going to ask you again with humility and respect to please go out, download the app. Download the app today. I want to drive it to #1 or the top 10. Please, Locals app. We've been rocketing up the charts. It was a genius idea. I'm proud to be part of Rumble and now part of Locals as well. Thanks for the time, Dave. We appreciate it.
Dan, give me 10 more seconds to just say one thing, which is
sure,
in the last 5 years of my life, I've met a lot of people who talk. They talk for a living and they talk and talk and talk, but they don't do anything. You do stuff. And that was a key part of me wanting to be part of this operation, because I was like, Dan doesn't just talk about it, he gets stuff done. So this is just the beginning, man. I'm psyched to be with you on this adventure.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate. Well, likewise, you do as well, Dave, and that's why this partnership is going to be a great symbiosis. So thanks for the time. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Good seeing you.
You got it. All right, folks. Thanks again for tuning in to the Dan Bongino Show. I will see you all tomorrow.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.